welcome. I'll wait just a second to see if anybody is able to log on today, and then I'll go ahead and start reading this book to you all. So, thank you. Hi, Morgan. All right, I'll hold on just a little bit, and then we'll get started with this book. We'll give it probably another 2 or 3 minutes before we go ahead and start reading. Good to see everybody. Awesome. So while we're waiting, this book is one of my absolute favorites from when I was little. This is actually the first book that ever made me cry when I was reading it, which is kind of a silly thing to say as I'm getting you excited about reading this book with me today. But it's just to say that, it's a really beautiful story, and it made me read all the way through recess when I was in 3rd grade. We were having recess indoors. So I'm really excited to read the first chapter with you guys today. This is called Isabel of the Whales by Hester Velmans. And welcome everybody. Hi Mary, how you guys doing? It's good to see you. We'll go ahead and hang on for just another 30 seconds or so to make sure that everybody can get started with this book. But another thing that was really special about this book to me was it was one of the first books I actually picked out by myself at the library. And so that was always an exciting feeling, to picking out your first chapter book at the library. So this book has a lot of special memories for me, and I'm excited to share it with you guys today. I'm sorry if you can hear my dog whining in the background. My girlfriend just went out the door and she really wants to go outside. But hopefully she isn't too loud and we'll be able to go ahead and get a little bit of reading done today. All right, so let's go ahead and get started. So this is Isabel of the Whales by Hester Velmans. And I'm going to go ahead and read the first chapter for us today. Chapter 1. Call me Isabel. That's my name, though in my family you'd never know it. Someone please tell me why, when your parents have picked out a perfectly good name for you, they then turn around and call you something totally dumb instead, like Unchkins or the Bonds or Jellyman. In my case, it was Izzy at first, and when I was a baby, but as soon as I could talk, it got to be Lizzie, which then turned into, thanks to my brilliant big brothers, the Lizard. All slimy and cold with a forked tongue. So I was the Lizard for a little while, but then my brothers decided that was boring. And then they came up with a new name for me, Iguana. Not a cute little lizard, a big, ugly lizard. Ig for short, which rhymes with pig. By the time I was 11, it was Iggy most of the time, which I didn't mind as much because it wasn't so far removed from Izzy, or Isabel. We live just outside Provincetown, at the tip of Cape Cod. Our house is a shingled Victorian that, at one time or another, has been painted all these different shades of blue. It has a wide front porch, a narrow back porch, and lots of rooms all opening up into another, which is great for hide and seek. My room is the smallest room in the house. It's on the 3rd floor, and what's special about it is that it has a 3-sided window inside a small turret stuck onto the side of the roof, like a tower for a princess. It has a window seat, and if you lift the screen, you can climb onto the roof and have a great view of all the backyards on our street. On a clear day, you'll see the sea. Even though I didn't have my own bathroom up there, I wouldn't change rooms with any other kid in the world. And that description right there is why I always wanted to have a princess tower in my house when I was a little girl. That year, I had a rainbow-colored sign on my door that read, 1, knock. 2, do not enter. 3, girls only allowed. 4, And I mean it. On a Saturday at the end of May, Kristen and Molly came over to my house. The three of us have been best friends since kindergarten. I don't remember who first came up with the idea, but somehow we decided to play a game of truth or dare. We lay sprawled on my bed, staring up at the ceiling. Since it was my house, it was my turn to ask first. "Okay, Molly," I said. "Me?" Molly said, already in a giggly mood. "Yes, you, Miss Molly Masterson. Tell us. Please tell us who you like." "Who I like?" Molly asked, playing dumb. "Well, I like Kristen, I guess, and I like you." "Which boy you like?" Kristen said patiently. Anyone with eyes in their head could see that Molly liked my middle brother, Jacob. She was always trying to get us to bake cookies or something, because that way we'd be downstairs in the kitchen where we might bump into him. When we did, she would start playing with her pale curly hair, twirling it around her finger, or folding it into a bun as if she was a model posing for a magazine cover. I even caught her throwing a sultry glance or two in Jacob's direction, with this silly coy expression on her face. That was kind of pathetic. Jacob totally ignored her, of course. My brothers always ignored my friends. But from the way he strutted when she was around, you could tell he noticed all right. Molly really annoyed me sometimes, even though she was my best friend. I hated it when she put on that silly little blonde act. It made me feel like a big brown lump compared to her. "I don't like anyone," she squealed, pulling her hair and twisting it into a ponytail. "Are you sure?" I wheedled. "Of course I'm sure." "Okay," I said, sort of sarcastic. "Be like that. Fine. She refuses to tell the truth. What dare do we have for candidate number 1? Kristen said, "I can't think of anything." "Wait," I said, "I know. Molly has to go downstairs, sneak into the boys' room, and throw Jacob's pillow out the window." "No!" Molly screeched. She was getting all red. "Truth or dare," Kristen chanted. "Truth or dare. You've got to do it, Molly." We had to help her, of course, to make sure the coast was clear. And I had to point out which bed was Jacob's. The pillow landed way up in the apple tree behind the back porch. I thought I was going to crack a rib, we were laughing so much. And Molly acted like she was about to faint. But in the end, the whole joke sort of fizzled out, since it seemed like my brothers had gone to baseball practice, and they weren't around to get mad at us. I'd be the one to get it later, at bedtime, when Jacob figured out what happened to his pillow. "Me next," said Molly when we were back in my room. "I dare both of you to tell me. Have you ever thought you were really, special?" "What do you mean by special?" I asked. "I mean different. I mean, like, not really who you really are, living here in Provincetown, going to Veterans Memorial School. Being just, ordinary." "Oh, I know," exclaimed Kristen. "Yeah?" said Molly. "Yeah, I used to think I was adopted," Kristen confessed. I had to pinch my nose to stop myself from laughing. I couldn't help it. Kristen was the 5th of 6 children, all redheads, like her mom. You could say there was a distinct family resemblance. Kristen glared at me. "And my real parents were movie stars. They had to give me up at birth because the studio made them, because it was before they got married. But then someday they're sorry for what they've done and they decide to come back for me. And they have me come live with them in Beverly Hills. And they give me parts in their movies and everything." "Yeah, and like me," Molly interrupted excitedly. "I swear you'll never tell anyone." We swore. "You know how Michael Preston spends his summers on the Cape?" "Duh," I said. Michael Preston was the lead singer in the band Grist for the Mill. I had every one of their albums. So did Molly and Kristen. I had a poster of him pinned above my goldfish bowl, next to my whale posters and marine charts. "So," I said, "I'm pretty sure I'm going to run into him someday, and I don't know exactly how." Like he sees me on the beach, or I find his dog who's run away, something like that. I didn't know Michael Preston had a dog, did you? I whispered to Kirsten, who giggled. And then he discovers me. And first, maybe he'll use me as a backup singer. Or one of the dancers, Kirsten breathed. She was getting all starry-eyed like Molly. But later, he persuades me to go solo, and I get to be a huge star, and then we get married. How romantic, I broke in. But you're forgetting something, aren't you? What? Asked Molly. You don't really sing, I said. I'm such a realist. I do sing. I love to sing. Yeah, lip-syncing in front of your bedroom mirror, said Kristen. Oh, yeah? Snorted Molly, tossing her hair. I'm going to take voice lessons. That's what I'm asking for my birthday. Voice lessons are expensive, said Kristen worriedly. They're both looking a bit dejected, and I suddenly feel bad for Molly. That's great, I told her. I think that's a great idea. You never know. You never know, Molly agreed. I'd always had this feeling that I was special too, but I would never, ever tell anyone about it. I didn't want people to think I was conceited. I mean, I knew girls like me weren't really expected to be anything special. Not big bony girls with short hair that wouldn't curl and round, or plain ordinary brown eyes. Still, ever since I could remember, I'd been convinced that I was somehow different. Like I was chosen for some great part. Like I had royal blood, though that wasn't it. Or like I was going to be the first, or the youngest, or the best, or the only one to do something truly awesome. I didn't know what it was then. But it wasn't being a child of movie actors, or getting to be on MTV, or winning a beauty contest, or anything dumb like that. It was just about being singled out for something. I wished I knew for what. Finally, it was my turn to be grilled. Molly pulled Kristen into the hall, and I heard them conferring in whispers. I heard Kristen giggling, and Molly's delighted, "No!" I braced myself, expecting to be asked something truly embarrassing. "All right, Iggy," said Kristen, coming back in the room. "Truth or dare? What's the story with you and those whales, anyway?" "Yeah, why are you so obsessed with them?" Molly chimed in. "I'm not obsessed," I protested. I felt myself go red. I knew my friends thought I was a little weird, but they'd never come out and say it, and said so before. Instead of collecting something cute like ponies or Beanie Babies, like most of the girls I knew, I had a whole shelf of little glass whales and dolphins in my room. I'd also amassed at least a dozen stuffed whales over the year, the largest of which was a big black and white orca, by now kind of gray and bedraggled. He was called Snorkel, and I'd had him forever, and I still needed him to fall asleep. You have, what's it called, a fetish?" Molly said solemnly. "Oh, please," I scoffed. "Go on, fess up, truth or dare," Kristen insisted. "Okay," I said, "only I don't know what there is to explain. I just like 'em, that's all." "Or instead, we could make you do something really, really gross," said Kristen. "Like on Fear Factor. We'll find some delicious stinky bait and earthworms for you to swallow." I shuddered. "I guess I like whales because they're big." "So are elephants, and you're not stuck on elephants, are you?" observed Kristen. "Whales are much bigger than elephants. They're the biggest, most powerful living creatures on Earth," I went on. "And they're, really intelligent." "How do you know?" asked Molly. "I've read up on them. That's how I know," I said. "And they take care of their young, and they communicate with each other in the neatest way." Kristen yawned. Molly was leaning out the window to see if my brothers had come home yet. "Whatever," she said. They hadn't bought my explanation, but to my relief, they didn't seem too interested in digging for any worms for me to eat. What I hadn't told them, because it was sort of private, was when I was little, my great-grandmother once told me that back in Ireland, people used to think sea mammals like seals and whales could come on land and turn into people. An ancestor of hers married one once. I didn't know why, but I loved the story. and sometimes, in bed at night, I'd feel myself sinking into a still green ocean. Then I'd dream I was swimming with the seals and the whales and all the animals of the deep. So that is an introduction to Isabel of the Whales. What happens next is her class goes on a field trip and where they go whale watching, and that's when the story starts to get really exciting. But I just wanted to give you a little kind of introduction to what this story is about. I absolutely love it, but if anybody has any questions right now, you can definitely feel free to ask. Otherwise, I will see you another time, and make sure to tune in next week for our next story time. And I'll wait for just 1 second in case anyone has any questions. I will not be reading more of this next week. If you guys are really interested in this story, definitely let us know, and I can see what we can do to maybe continue it. I absolutely love the story, so I would love to keep sharing it with you. So yeah, just feel free to reach out to Flock, and if you really like this story, and then we can potentially read a little more at a later date. All right, well, I'm going to go ahead and sign off. Thank you guys so much for listening, and I will see you at another time. Bye.